Hey guys, Charlie here. Not feeling 100% right now, pretty ill, but we didn't want to leave you hanging, so here is X Halo Infinite update video from his main channel Eckhartsladder for X2, just in case you missed it and so on and so forth. But for now, here is the Halo Infinite update.
Their brazen defiance will be all but a memory. No more prophets, no more lies. We stand together, brothers to the end. We are his will, we are his legacy. We are the Banished.
Hey guys, this is Eckhartsladder. Hello and welcome to another video. And I had some regularly scheduled content planned for today, but we got some awesome news that I thought warranted some coverage. If you're looking for more videos to watch though, on the second channel, X2, we also put out a new video talking about how ships will be balanced in Star Wars squadrons, which I think you guys might find interesting. So obviously I'm to thank for today's news, because in my wisdom, I alone tweeted out the other day the incredibly unique observation that it's pretty strange that Halo Infinite is supposed to come out this year and we've gotten almost nothing besides for those trailers. Well, that all changed today as the Halo social media pages all posted a new video, signal detected, tag destination foe. Now I played a little bit of the video at the beginning of the trailer, but I'll also link to it down below. It's just over a minute long and is basically an intercepted communication from the Banished, which I'll talk about in a minute. So we learn a few things, mainly that the Brutes have secured a Halo ring, presumably the one from the Halo Infinite trailer, but also perhaps one being built by the Ark, and that they intend to use it against humanity. We know that they're the Banished because they outright say they are, and of course they recognize their own broken shackles, how they're no longer subservient to the prophets. I'll read the whole transmission just because it is a little bit difficult to hear some of it. The hour approaches. Our forces occupy the ring. Within hours, it will be under our control. Humanity will burn. Their brazen defiance will be all but a memory. No more prophets. No more lies. We stand together, brothers to the end. We are his will. We are his legacy. We are the Banished. Presumably the his at the end there, as in we are his will and we are his legacy, refers to Atriox, I would guess? But that almost makes it seem like he's dead, which is a little bit confusing. Anyway, let's move on and talk about what we've learned from this, before doing a basic coverage of the Banished for those of you who aren't familiar with the faction, which appeared in Halo Wars 2 primarily. So I would say there's a 99.9% chance that this is relating to Halo Infinite. Now, of course, it's the Banished, so it could be Halo Wars 3 or something, but with Halo Infinite set to unveil its gameplay in just a couple of weeks, according to rumors, the chance of them wanting to take attention away from a future mainline game with something like Halo Wars 2 is very, very unlikely. What's more, the only leaks we've gotten at all for Halo Infinite have been from Mega Bloks of all places, and they have suggested that the Banished will appear in the game. Finally, I think more directly you can just look at how people are treating the leaks, especially 343 staff. I mean, go to Sketch, who's one of the community managers, and look at his liked tweets. 1. I'm on the verge of crying after that Halo Infinite news. I mean, he liked a tweet that straight up said, no more prophets, no more lies, the Banished are in Halo Infinite. So it's pretty clear, take that, and of course everything that other 343 producers have tweeted out, even some that are working only on Halo Infinite, and it's very, very clear. I just say 99.9% because I don't want to look like an idiot if something does happen. Alright, so let's look next at who the Banished are, and then what this will reveal about Halo Infinite's gameplay and possible story. By the way, you can get Halo Wars really cheap, and I think actually for free with Xbox Game Pass, so maybe instead of watching this video, just go play Halo Wars 2, or subscribe to my second channel because I'll be doing a playthrough there in the next few weeks. But basically, the Banished are an organization which were expelled from the Covenant, but greatly rose to power after the end of the Human Covenant War. The Banished are largely made up of brutes, including their leader Atriox, who's, well, a real badass, but there's also pretty much every member of the Covenant within their ranks, including elites, grunts, jackals, basically all of the enemies you fought in the prior games. The Banished didn't really care about the Covenant schism or the civil war between the elites and the brutes. Their goal simply was to gain more power and to dominate, clearly different than the religious overtones which obviously infected the entirety of the Covenant. It makes sense that the Banished are primarily a brute organization because it essentially represents the key aspects of the brute mentality. The most powerful dominate the organization and rise to the top, and they maintain that position through strength and power. Because the Banished are more pragmatic and less religious focused than the Covenant, they don't have the same devotion to Forerunner relics. They're not interested in the Great Journey. They don't carry on the profit-induced hatred of humanity. They really are just a warlike faction in the galaxy, and one that is growing ever more powerful. The Banished not only have highly dedicated and powerful warriors, but also advanced equipment. They're well recognized by their red armor and weaponry, and even their capital ships typically have red plating. Obviously, from an infinite gameplay perspective, this does mean we will see the reintroduction of primarily brute-focused weapons. That means things like the Spiker or the Gravity Hammer, which has always made its way into the Halo games, but in Halo 4 and 5 wasn't really very relevant in the campaign, and perhaps more wild vehicles and weapons. I mean, the brutes basically just tape knives and spikes onto things and call it a day. But let's continue to look at things from a gameplay perspective, and it's really hard to say what will go on in Halo Infinite. We know almost nothing. We do see that the transmission is being intercepted by the UNSC and that they've identified it as coming from a foe, so presumably a large part of maybe the early game, or at least some part of Halo Infinite, will involve trying to stop the brutes from firing this Halo ring. Why they want to fire the ring? Well, I'm not really sure. Perhaps they're under the influence of some sort of grave mind who is doing that for his own purpose. I mean, the brutes do sound a little distorted here, and that's kind of what I thought immediately. But it's also just possible that a tactical pulse will wipe out the remainder of humanity, and that's why they want to do it. If it is flood related, maybe it's supposed to be a weapon against the created and Cortana's new military. Either way though, I'm really excited for a return to Halo 3 style gameplay. I think brutes are actually the most fun enemies to fight, especially because of that sort of pack mentality that they have, with usually an alpha, and then other brutes coordinating, then of course the smaller enemies. But this also gives us the opportunity to fight both brutes and elites, which doesn't happen in Halo 3 and isn't really a thing in Halo 2 very often either. I also wonder what other gameplay elements from Halo Wars might be brought into Halo Infinite now, because there are a lot of unique UNSC and Covenant vehicles which have only appeared in that series. So if you have any thoughts on that, let me know down in the comments. From an enemy perspective, it's also interesting to think about the dynamic that we'll be having now. So we'll have most likely the Banished, perhaps Promethean enemies as well, maybe the Servants of the Abiding Truth or some other Covenant splinter faction like we had with Jewel Mdama's Covenant, then the Created, and maybe the Flood, and who knows what else. Either way, there'll be a lot of enemy variety, and it'll be interesting to see multiple factions with different aims just really butting heads against each other, because whatever way this works, the Banished will not most likely be siding with any other faction. They're solely in the fight for power and just to gain control. As I mentioned earlier though, I'm wondering, where is Atriox, the leader of the Banished? He's one of the biggest badasses in Halo history. Basically, the Covenant tried to kill him by sending him on dangerous mission after dangerous mission, but he just would not die. Then, as I mentioned, he rebelled and was expelled from the Covenant, and his faction rose from that point, with him taking on new members and him fighting the Covenant sometimes even during the Human Covenant War, but then later on, as I mentioned, rising to power, especially after the end of Halo 3. So that's all the analysis I have for now. I'm wondering if you guys picked up on anything that I didn't. The last thing I will say is that I think most likely the ring they're talking about is Zeta Halo Installation 07. That's what Infinite has been pointing us towards, and I've got no reason to believe otherwise. On that note though, I do want to talk about community reaction to this. It's been really nice for Halo Infinite hype to really just return, because we haven't gotten a lot in a while. Not many people were as excited for Halo Guardians. I feel like people are being much more open with Halo Infinite. That's been great to see, but some people are still, I think, a little wary from what happened with Hunt the Truth. So hopefully we get some exciting news in the next little bit. Maybe I'll talk more about this on my second channel later, but rest assured I will be covering immediately the Halo Infinite gameplay when it drops. But guys, that's all I have for now. Until next time, have a good one, and may the Force be with you.